So am I audible? Am I a bit too loud or should I moderate? Sorry. So good morning everyone, and at the outset I'd like to thank Dr. Deepak Govil sir, who is an extraordinary teacher and has been my guide for many years now, and his entire team obviously. Are you guys awake or have you all gone to sleep by now? But as luck would have had it, every year my lecture is usually either before breakfast or after lunch. So, but I try to wake you guys up. The problem with the topic which has been allotted to me is that nobody reads it. That's true, because I was a part of this academic program in the first and second year of its organization. That is way back. This is the seventh one, which you're currently attending. So let me assure you, this is one of the best programs which is being conducted in the country at the moment, as far as the exams go, and take it for granted, this will guarantee your success in the examinations that you're going to appear. To give you, tip would be for the examination is, don't read this PPT which I have prepared. Okay, leave it for the examinations, and have good friends in the hospital where you're going to give your examinations, so that those reliable sources can tell you that there is a snake bite patient in the ICU where you're going to appear for the examination beforehand, and revise this PPT if there is a patient only. Okay, and the night before. Okay. And I'm being very honest about it, because I would have done the same thing. I never read snake bite, so why would you? Well, without much ado, let me start. The Southeast Asia document, which was published by WHO, is a 300-page document. 20 minutes of possible meaning. So what I have done is, I have prepared a gist of what a fellow needs to remember when he or she goes for an examination and knows that there is a patient of snake bite there, taking for granted, right? Okay. So there are a few slides which are not very important, but I'll tell you which slides you need to remember. So just bear with me for another 15-20 minutes. After that, you are going to go for your tea break. Okay. Okay. So starting from epidemiology, याद किसी को नहीं रहेगी, सुन लो. So the annual number of cases of snakebite worldwide is about 5 million. This is 2016 data, because that was when the WHO document was printed. Okay, and among which there are some 100,000 to 200,000 deaths. And in addition to these deaths, there are estimated 400,000 snake bites related amputations each year around the world. Children, on the other hand, have both higher incidence and suffer more severe effects than do adults as a result of their smaller body masses. In India, it is estimated to have the highest snakebite mortality in the world, and WHO estimates the number of bites to be 83,000 per annum, with 11,000 deaths. And the ratio, male-female ratio, is 2:1. Now, majority of these bites is on the lower extremities. This is all 2016 data. We are in 2019. There has not been any update on it. I checked day before yesterday also. So nobody is going to ask for this data. Important. So the poisonous snakes in India have been classified into 3 classes. One is the Elapidae, which comprises of cobra and kraits, and the venom is neurotoxic. Viperidae family consists of vipers, and the venom is hemotoxic. And Hydrophidae, which comprises of sea snakes, and the venom is myotoxic. And out of these, krait and Russell viper are much more toxic than cobra. So what exactly is snake venom? You need to remember this. Combination of enzymatic and non-enzymatic polypeptides. It is acidic. The specific gravity is 1.030 to 1.070, and on drying it forms fine needle-like crystals. It is water soluble, and the lethal dose is for cobra 0.12 grams, krait 0.06 grams, Russell's viper 0.15 gram. The problem is, you won't remember any of this, and neither will your examiner, because he wouldn't read or brush up on snake bite when he comes to take your examination. Being an FNB examiner myself, I would do the same. So you need to cram this data, because if you tell the examiner the specific gravity of snake venom, then he knows that this guy either knows the patient beforehand or he's well read. In either way, in either scenario, you're going to get good grades. Okay? So please cram this data before the exam. Just a list of local signs and symptoms. You don't need to remember any of this. You just need to see the patient that lies in the bed. Coming to systemic signs and symptoms, there are generalized signs and symptoms, there are cardiovascular signs and symptoms. The cardiovascular ones are basically because of the venom of the snakes of Viperinae family. Bleeding and clotting disorders, basically because of Viperinae. And neurological sequelae because of Russell's viper and Elapide family. Okay? I am not reading the entire slides, because ultimately you need to revise it before your exam. Skeletal muscle breakdown usually occurs because of sea snakes and Russell's viper. And renal, which is important as intensivist, is Viperinae and sea snake venom. I have a slide on renal failure issues also. I'll come to that. Okay. Busy slide, but you need to remember this. It's easy to remember. If you see, if you are with me, all the snake venom causes local pain, tissue and damage, except, please be vocal about it, great, right? Ptosis and neurotoxicity is seen in all snake bites except vipers. Okay? Coagulation disorder seen in all except cobra and crate, which is the Elapide family. Remember? Renal problems only seen in vipers. And neostigmine and ectopine test, as I have a slide on that also later on, it is usually done in cobra bites. Okay? Easy to remember, but if you remember this slide, you score great. Okay. Important slide, the National First Aid Treatment Protocol for India. It is based around the mnemonic carry no ride. Carry means do not allow victim to walk even for a short distance, just carry him in any form, especially when the bite is at the lower extremities. No stands for no tourniquet, no electrotherapy, no cutting, and no pressure immobilization. Right, R is for reassure the patient. I is immobilize in the same way as fractured limb. GH for get to hospital immediately. T is tell the doctor of any systemic symptoms that you might have observed during the transport. And do not waste time for the first aid management. Get to the hospital immediately as soon as possible. Traditional methods, gutti, churan, naikilana. Most important slide. Your examiner is going to remember this and he will expect you to answer this. How to diagnose, and not only diagnose, it also helps you to determine whether to give further doses of anti-snake venom also. What is the 20-minute whole blood clotting test, or 20 WBCT as we call it? It is the most reliable test of coagulation which can be carried out at bedside and is considered to be superior to capillary tube method for establishing clotting capability in snake bite. How do you do it? So you take a few ml of fresh venous blood, placed in a fresh, clean and dry glass vessel, preferably a test tube, and left undisturbed at ambient temperature for 20 minutes. What do you see? After that, the tube should be gently tilted to detect whether blood is still liquid, and if so, whether the blood is incoagulable. If it is incoagulable, the test is positive. And this test has to be carried out every 30 minutes for the first 3 hours after the patient has died to you, and then hourly after that for the next 6 hours. If incoagulable blood is discovered, that means the test is positive. The 6-hourly cycle is then to be adopted to test for requirement of repeat doses of KSP. I'll clarify that in the subsequent slides. Battery of investigations we are all so fond of sending. In particular, please remember, do get done PTA, PTT, fibrinogen, D-dimer and FDP because of coagulation disorders which the venom might lead. urine examination, particularly for hemoglobinuria and myoglobinuria, because of the renal issues which the venom might lead to. Okay? Rest और आपको मालूम सब कराते हैं. Coming to specific management, pain, paracetamol, handling tourniquets, which usually people do apply. Care has to be taken when removing these tourniquets, because this sudden removal can lead to a surge of venom which has accumulated at the site of bite and may lead to a neurological paralysis or hypotension due to vasodilatation. So you need to be prepared for it. Okay? Okay, so what is anti-snake venom? Anti-snake venom is the mainstay of treatment, yes. And antivenom is immunoglobulin, usually pepsin refined Fab2 fragment of whole G purified from the plasma of a horse, mule, donkey, sheep that has been immunized with the venom of one or more species of snake. Okay? In India, the ASV that we have is polyvalent and it is active against these types of snakes: cobra, crate, viper, saw-scaled and Russell's viper. Potency, nobody remembers it, but I have mentioned it just for your information. 1 ml of ASV neutralizes what amount of venom? You won't remember it, nobody does, even I didn't. Now this ASV is usually produced in liquid and lyophilized forms in the country. A liquid ASV requires a reliable cold chain to be maintained and is active for 2 years. Whereas a lyophilized ASV in powder form has a 5-year shelf life and requires only to be kept cool. So usually in tertiary level centers which I have worked in the past, we usually have lyophilized ASV. I am sure in your centers also you have the lyophilized variety. Please remember, it is only the free unbound fraction of venom which can be neutralized by ASV when administered. The bound fraction is gone. The problem is the Southeast Asia document of WHO which I was talking about has a lot of photographs of how to identify the species of snakes by the pattern of scales and the types of teeth and the eyes and whatnot. The problem is nobody is going to remember, especially the person who isn't bitten, what kind of scales and eyes the snake had. Yes. And when the patient hands up to you, the doctor or the intensivist who see the patient first hand either in the ER or if they are brought to your ICU, they give a shit about it. They are concerned about the parameters, the drowsiness level, in fact the effects of the venom which is already in the stream, bloodstream. Yes. So I deleted all those parts because neither you are interested in it as a practical point of view, and neither the examiner is interested in it when asking questions to you during your exam. So it's useless to talk about that, so I deleted all those things. Okay. Now what are the indications of ASV administration? If the patient is hemodynamically unstable or has respiratory instability, you need to give ASV. If there are hemotoxic effects like bleeding or coagulation disorders, if there are neurotoxic effects, any evidence of toxicity usually beginning with CNS abnormalities and progressing to descending paralysis and including diaphragm, etc. So you need to give ASV. These are systemic effects. For local, if there is a progressive soft tissue swelling, or if there is a severe current local swelling involving more than half of the bitten layer, you need to give ASV. Important question which might be asked to you: do you give test dose? You don't. Why? Because even though in journals and everywhere, research papers, they have found that there is no predictive value in detecting the anaphylactic reactions which might occur because of ASV administration. On the contrary, if you pre-sensitize the patient to ASV by giving a test dose, it might manifest as an anaphylactic reaction when you actually give the actual dose. So please don't give a test dose. There's no role of test dose. When do you give it? Best effects within 4 hours of bite. India with possible nahi. Effective in symptomatic patients even 48 hours after the bite. So it's effective till 48 hours, fortunately. And efficacious even 6 to 7 days after the bite from vipers. I don't know if my fellows are present here or not. We had a snake bite patient We don't see much snake bite patients in Delhi NCR. And I think we had a patient around, I think 6-8 months back who was shifted to us from Gwalior. And the history was that he was bitten by a black colored snake. We looked up the WHO site and we found that it could be a viper also. And he had already received ASV in Gwalior. He had already received ASV in one of the hospitals in Delhi, I won't name it, before the patient landed to us. Patient was conscious, oriented, but in total neurological paralysis. And it took us around, I think, 14 to 15 days to get him out of it. He survived and was discharged, fortunately, young guy. So, and we also administered ASV for the initial 2 days. Even though we had no clue whether what we were doing was right or wrong, but whether that worked for him or not, I don't know. Important, initial dose. Now the recommended dose is often the amount of anti-venom required to neutralize. Nobody remembers the amount of venom. Nobody asks the snake, kitna venom inject kiya hai bhai? And nobody expects to remember the dose. But yes, what we remember is how much antivenom to be given to the patient. Yes. Now each vial of antivenom is 10 ml of ASV, and the initial dose for adults and children is around 10 vials. Okay. So the entire constitution becomes around 100 ml. So just remember that you need to give 100 ml of ASV. You need to dilute it further. Okay. How do you give it? Obviously IV, but there are two methods which have been recommended. One is an intravenous push injection. You reconstitute the freeze-dried antivenom and give by slow IV injection, that is not more than 2 ml per minute. It is not exactly a bolus, but almost at that pace. The slow infusion is you dilute it further and you finish the entire anti-snake venom in 1 hour. Now, how do you gauge the response to this ASV? So if an adequate dose of appropriate antivenom has been administered, following responses may be observed. General, patient feels better. Spontaneous systemic bleeding might stop. The blood coagulability by the 20 WBC test may be restored. So these are effects that you can see, and you can tell that the patient is responding to the administration of ASV. In shock patients, the blood pressure will start rising. The vasopressor dependency of the patient might come down. Even you might be able to switch off the vasopressor support. In neurotoxic envenominium, it may begin to improve as early as 30 minutes after antivenom, but usually it takes several hours. In the example that I gave, it took around 14 to 15 days. An active hemolysis may cease within a few hours. You can check that if the urine color starts to come back to normal. When to give repeat doses? Important. If there is a persistence or recurrence of blood incoagulability after 6 hours or of bleeding after 1 to 2 hours, there is a deterioration of the neurological or cardiovascular status of the patient. Range of venom injected is about 5 to 147, difficult to approximate, and maximum dose of ASV is around 25 vials. Remember, the ASV should be administered over 1 hour. Maximum dose of ASV around 25 vials. There are numerous papers which have been published in the past, some from southern parts of India, some internationally also. They have gone on to give around 50 vials of anti-snake venom to a patient. They have found no difference. What I mean to convey to you is, what has happened in 25 vials is not going to change even if you give 50 vials. In other words, जो इफेक्ट आप 25 वायल में देख रहे हो, वही इफेक्ट 50 वायल में दिखेगा. So there is no point in unnecessarily exposing the patient to more serious anaphylactic reactions if he or she might have it after giving, say, 30 vials. So the maximum dose recommended is 25 vials. So once you have given the initial dose for 1 hour, you wait for 6 hours, repeat the 20 WBC test, incoagulable, repeat the dose again over 1 hour. Okay, this is what this entire slide says. Neurotoxic, only ASV will not work. You will take care of the airway and the breathing and circulation. Okay, this is what this slide says. Neostigmine test, important. A trial of anticholinergics should be performed in every patient with neurotoxic envenomation. So this is only for Cobra, yes. The neostigmine dose is 0.04 milligram per kg IV along with atropine and glycopyrrolate to neutralize the side effects of neostigmine. Continuous infusion, patient to be observed for 1 hour, improvement in the neurological symptoms, start giving infusion, or you can also go for bolus doses. ASV reactions, more important for a practical standpoint of view. Usually 20% of patients usually show these reactions. 3 types: early anaphylactic within 10 to 180 minutes, pyrogenic endotoxin reactions develop 1 to 2 hours later, and late 1 to 12 days after the ASV. Now these fatal reactions have probably been underreported as far as statistics is concerned, because snake bite से मरने के बाद तो snake bite ही होता है, venom तो किसी को याद नहीं रहता, nobody remembers. So what do you do after ASV reactions? Being well read and practically sound intensivists, I think you all know what to do. So ABC, whatever you do in such kind of anaphylactic reactions, take care of ABC. Specific drugs like adrenaline, hydrocort, antihistamines, inotropes, fluid, you are aware of all that. When do you restart the ASV after the anaphylactic reaction has been taken care of? This is important from a practical standpoint. If after 10 to 15 minutes the patient's condition has not improved, you can repeat ADR till 3 doses, which has been maximum has been seen in case reports. Now, once the patient is recovered, ASV can be restarted, but at a slower pace, much slower pace. Start and observe for 10 to 15 minutes. If the patient remains stable upon restarting the infusion of ASV, you can continue with the normal rate. ASV in children and pregnant women. Same doses, everything is same. You just need to keep in mind that if a pregnant female has been bitten by a snake, you need to take care of the fetus and call in a gynecologist and review the condition of the fetus also. That is what is important. Complications. Compartment syndrome is one local complication that is found very commonly. What you need to do, or what you need to take care of as intensivists, is keep a tab on the compartment pressure. What happens is, if a patient comes to the ICU, we are all so overwhelmed in managing the complications of snake bite, the generalized complications, that we forget about the local side. So please remember, you just need to keep a tab on the compartment pressure. As soon as you find that the compartment pressure is increasing, please call a surgeon and have him have a look at it, because the patient might require fasciotomy in order to save the limb. Systemic VAP, there must have already been a lecture on VAP, so all of you must be knowing about it. Renal failure, usually multifactorial. Severe and persistent hypertension because of the hemodynamics being crashing because of the venom effects may lead to acute tubular necrosis and hence renal failure. Hemoglobin and other several parts of RBC, myoglobin, rhabdomyolysis leading to renal failure. Part of DIC, yes. Vasculitis, acute diffuse interstitial nephritis. These can all be causes after snake bite which the patient might land up in renal failure. What do you do? Dialysis. Now, acute tubular necrosis recovers by few weeks, but who develop cortical necrosis may require a maintenance dialysis on a long-term basis. So you need to be aware of it. The hyperkalemia which is seen in renal failure of sequelae of snake bite is basically hypermetabolic hyperkalemia. It doesn't respond to the normal calcium gluconate and glucose insulin that we are so fond of giving. It requires immediate dialysis because it can lead to impending arrest. So the bottom line is, early, urgent, adequate treatment with ASV can reverse the whole process of deterioration of renal function and treat the patient. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So now we discuss for the tea break, short tea break.